guys, so yesterday we talked about the domains of life, and what we learned there was that if we consider something living based on these 7 characteristics of life, then we can go ahead and classify them or group them into 3 domains. So basically all living things are either going to be part of domain bacteria, archaea, or eukarya. The main thing we focused on is eukarya because that's probably the one you guys know the most about. All those living organisms in domain eukarya can fall in either kingdom Animalia, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae, or kingdom Protista. So basically we learned that these 4 kingdoms have a lot in common, but the main thing being that they're made of complex cells. Okay? The big difference that we have that sorts them into either Animalia, Fungi, Plantae, or Protists is that they all get their food differently, okay? So we use food for energy, so we're going to kind of refer to this as energy. So an animal has to eat to consume. A fungi has to absorb to consume and get their energy. Plants can make their own food using photosynthesis and get their energy that way. And protists can do a little bit of both what plants and animals do, depending on what organism we're talking about. So that was yesterday in a nutshell. Today we're going to talk about taxonomic rank. So if we're taking a look at one specific organism, this is kind of how we break down their classifications based on different characteristics. So this is called taxonomic rank. And we use this little system called domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. You guys may have heard this before, and that's awesome if you have. That might be hard for you guys to remember, so we have this awesome little acronym to help us. So, Dear King Philip came over for great spaghetti. That will help you guys remember domain, D, kingdom, K, phylum, P, class, C, order, O, family, 4, genus, G, species, S. Okay, so we can use that. The great thing about this is we can really look at an organism and see why they're in each of these different classifications and how closely they are related to other organisms. So for instance, if you have 2 organisms, for instance, maybe a tree and an elm tree and an elephant, and you're comparing them, the only thing that they would have in common is the domain. That means they're not very closely related. We might look at an ant compared to an elephant, and the only thing they would share is the domain and the kingdom. So they're more closely related than the elm tree, but they're still very far from being too closely related. Okay. Other organisms might share the same genus. So the domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, and family and genus are all the same. That means they're very closely related. So we might look at different species of elephants for that. Okay. You guys will notice this box around genus and species. We use the genus and the species to form the binomial nomenclature. If you guys think of a bicycle, it has 2 wheels. Well, this binomial nomenclature means it has 2 names. So there's 2 words in the scientific name. You guys probably have heard the scientific name before, but probably not binomial nomenclature. From here on out, we're just going to refer to it as the scientific name. So this, again, the scientific name consists of the genus and the species. We capitalize the genus and keep all of the species lowercase. Okay, let's take a look at an example of what this might look like. So let's look at a human being. Okay, the common name for a human being is a human being. But we know that the scientific name is Homo sapien. I know you guys have all heard that before. Okay, so if we looked on Wikipedia and we looked up a human being, you guys would see this neat little organizer that should look familiar to you now. You can see kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. I did have to skip a few in there, and we're just going to ignore those other ones because it gets a little complicated in real life. Okay, so if we look at a human, it's in the domain eukarya because it's an animal. Basically, it has complex cells, it's multicellular, and it gets food to eat. So that's why it's also in the kingdom. Phylum, chordata, because it has a spinal cord. Class, mammalia, because it gives live birth. Order, primates. Family, hominidae. Genus is Homo, and species is sapiens. So as you guys can see, that's where we get our scientific name, Homo sapien. Okay, so you guys are going to do an example for yourself, and you guys are going to choose either a plant or an animal. So this is going to be done in a Google form that I have attached to today's assignment or today's post. You guys will go into Wikipedia and you guys again choose either a plant or an animal from Eukarya. You guys want to keep it simple but also be specific. I know that kind of sounds weird, but this will be a good explanation for you. An elephant is a pretty simple common animal, right? But there's a lot of different species for elephants, so you're going to have to be specific. Let me show you what this would look like. So I'm going to go into Wikipedia and choose elephant. You guys can't use elephant, sorry. And I'm going to look over here and I will see kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, and then subfamily. We're going to ignore subfamily because that's not part of our main taxonomic rank. I don't have genus or species on there, so this isn't very specific. All right, so I am going to look for a different species of elephant. So if you guys just kind of read through, you'll see here are 3 species. We have the African bush elephant, the African forest elephant, and the Asian elephant. I'm going to choose Asian elephant. Okay, so now we can see, all right, here's our kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, and we have the genus and the species. We were a little bit more specific when we chose our animal. So back to this Google form, what is the common name? Let me preview this. What is the common name of your plant or animal? For that, I would choose the Asian elephant. You guys, again, want to be specific here. What species are you doing? And then you guys can fill out this information, the domain. The domain is not in Wikipedia. You guys will need to use your notes. So if you go back to domains of life, which domain, bacteria, archaea, or eukarya, does an Asian elephant fit under? Okay, so Asian elephant, domain, in this case, I would type in eukarya. And then I can go kingdom. I already know that an Asian elephant is going to be Animalia. I shouldn't need to look that up. The only 2 kingdoms you guys should be doing is Plantae or Animalia. Okay, so I can check kingdom, Animalia. Phylum, Chordata, because he's got a spinal cord or a vertebrae. Class, Mammalia. So I would go in and fill in Chordata and Mammalia. And then you guys can look and do the order, the family, the genus, or the species. Remember, if you guys have extra information in there like subfamily or infraorder or something like that, just ignore it. Okay, and then the last 2, my genus is Elephas. And my species, again, remember my species is just Maximus. The E stands for Elephas in the genus. So you guys can ignore this E and just do the Maximus. So down here, genus, Elephas, species, Maximus, and then the scientific name is your genus and your species. So again, you can either find this here, Elephas maximus, or it's this binomial name, Elephas maximus. So you guys would notice that the E is capitalized, but the rest is not. Okay, that will be your guys' assignment today. Pretty easy. I hope you all are having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.